Hey guys, Luke at ultraconsumer.com here, bringing you another product review. This time, one that I'm a little bit excited about. This is the Dyson DC44 battery-powered handheld stick vac. You can see here. You guys may have seen these at your local Costco. They're pretty popular right now. And I actually picked this one up on sale at Costco for around $300. $300 for a stick vac. That's right, folks. That was the sale price. This is usually close to $400. So for that price, you'd hope it was a pretty darn good stick vac. That said, before we get into it, let's take a look at the accessories and the attachments that come with it so you have a better idea of what you're purchasing when you purchase this particular vacuum at Costco. Okay, so here's everything that comes with the Costco model. You've got the base unit itself right here. You've got the charging station right here. And you've got the extension tube, which is this blue piece that I have installed right here. And aside from those three base components, you also have a total of 6 different attachments. And I think a couple of those are bonuses with the version that you get at Costco, specifically the two over here, the extension tube as well as the angled tool here. And I'll go over each one of those. Let's start with the bonus pieces that you get from Costco. So the first one is this extension tube. It's got a brush underneath it with that fuzzy scrubber thing here. This is going to be most beneficial for overhead lighting or fans. And then you've got the extension tube here, which I can pull out, but it bends and you can add it to the base of the extension wand, or you can add it to the base of the unit itself. You've got the most common tool here, which is going to be your floors tool for hardwood floor sweeping or carpet, sort of like your all-purpose vacuum attachment. And this is also a powered attachment, meaning it receives power from the battery and the brush head is actually electronically powered rather than air powered. You've got your pet hair tool here, which is also powered. You can actually see the power prongs in this attachment. It's got the brush on this edge, and it's also got a swivel on the head so you can get different angles while you're brushing up your pet fur. You've got this weird combo tool, which is just a normal brush, but you can actually convert it into just a more normal, I don't know, sucking tool of some sort. And then you've got your crevice tool. So a number of tools that come with this Costco model. And again, you've got the wall station right here, but the wall station really needs to be mounted to a wall to be useful. The way that it works is such that it needs to be stationary. You can't really usefully sit it on the floor, but it does have 2 places to put some attachments, but as you'll note here, you kind of need to choose which attachments you're going to want to hang from that, because you've got 5 loose attachments and you can only put 2 of them on the wall charger at one time. And then you've got the base unit right here. You can see I've got some dirt pre-installed, and you've got the button right here, which is a symmetrical button rounded all the way around. Not the most comfortable button in the battery pack. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the attachments that come with this vacuum, we're going to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of this particular stick vac. Now, before again I say this, I want to emphasize that this is a $300+ vacuum, and I'm going to be extra critical because it is so expensive. I would expect very good performance out of it. So let's start with the pros of this Dyson vacuum. So the first one is this hand base unit is actually relatively compact. It weighs, I think, around 3 to 4 pounds maybe, and it's not too heavy in your hand. The next piece is that the suction itself is pretty good. I notice it doesn't diminish, at least in the time that I've used it. I haven't actually killed the battery. I'm putting it in the charger every time, so I don't really have the opportunity to run it down in between charges, but they say this runs between 15 and 20 minutes, and if you turn it onto the boost or the max setting, you get around half, a little bit less than half that time, so 8 to 10 minutes, something like that, of maximum time. Now you can hear the vacuum itself is not that loud. I'm gonna put it away from my mic. And that's the normal setting, and if I push the max setting, it gets a little louder. But overall, it's not that noisy of a vacuum. And one of the great things about it is the suction is very good. The battery seems very, very good. I've been impressed with the battery life, the runtime, as well as the suction. Those are 2 good features right off the bat. Another nice feature is that the dirt cup is right here. You don't have to pull out a filter every time you empty the dirt cup like I did with my Electrolux stick vac. So that's nice having a one button dirt cup empty mechanism right here. The other cool thing is you press this button and you get access to a washable filter. So when you are ready to wash the filter, it's really easy to get to. Another nice feature about this vacuum, or I guess set of features, would be the number of attachments you get. There's 7 different attachments if you include the extension wand, and there's pretty much one for everything. It's nice if you want to get your overhead lighting or your fans that you do have this angled attachment with the Costco model. Primarily I'm using the crevice tool for picking up like little pieces of cat litter or cat food off the ground. But the one that you're probably going to use the most is the normal floor tool here, which has 2 types of bristles, one primarily for carpet, and then this black bristle set is made out of carbon fiber, which helps reduce static electricity while you're vacuuming hard surfaces. So it's a little bit better at picking up particles, small particles off hardwood surfaces. So a nice selection of attachments here means there's probably an attachment for almost everything you could want an attachment for. Okay, so I think those are the primary positives. Now let's talk about the cons. And again, I'm going to emphasize this one more time. This is a $300+ vacuum, so I expect a lot from it. The first one is the button, and this has been said over and over on Amazon. You have to hold it down the entire time you're using the vacuum. And maybe that would be okay, but this button is not particularly easy to press, and it's not particularly comfortable on your finger. I mean, I'm not a complete wuss, but I do find it kind of uncomfortable to hold this down the whole time. And I wish there was a way to lock it on, especially when you're using a tool like this tool, right? Because in one hand, you have to hold down the button. So that means you have to use the other hand to do this. And it'd be a lot nicer if you could set this unit down and kind of work with your, either hand wherever you're working with the end of this hose attachment. So holding the button, I would say, is actually a big con. They need to add some sort of lock mechanism. Another big negative is the dirt cup. Although I really like the fact that you can empty it without changing a filter, I find that it jams up pretty easily here. You can kind of see that I'm sort of full on one side, but not full on the other side. The fill line is right here. So it's full over here, but not over here. And when I go to empty this, it just gets stuck in there and I have to pull it out with my hands. So I'm touching the dirt anyway. And then when I'm closing it back up, I end up getting like little hairs and stuff that kind of get stuck poking out of the door, and it's actually kind of nasty. So yeah, it's nice that I don't have to empty a filter, but it still ends up being kind of gross to empty this, to be quite honest, and it fills up pretty quickly. Another negative about it is the attachments themselves are kind of inconvenient. So the wall caddy has 2 spots to put attachments, but it comes with 7 total attachments. So you're gonna have to store, 3 or 4 attachments elsewhere other than your wall caddy, and that's a little bit inconvenient, to be honest with you. I can't completely fault it for that, because it comes with more stuff to do more tasks, which is kind of a plus, but it's also not really very efficient in the way that it stores them. I do give it a plus for having the powered brush head that is pretty good on hardwood floors, but what I found is the clearance on that head is so low to the ground that it's not good at picking up any sort of large particles on a hard surface. So if you're using this in your kitchen and you want to pick up pieces of cat food or cereal or something, then really you've got to take this brush head off and you've got to put a different head on, because, by the way, it doesn't suck very well at all when there's no head at the end of the extension tube. So you have to take off the head that you were probably using, put on something like the crevice tool, which is what I've been doing, and then vacuum up those particles before switching back to the more common tool here. And the other thing is, this is good on carpet for quick little jobs, but I certainly would not consider this a replacement for my real vacuum. If I put it on max, it does a pretty darn good job for what it is, being a hand vac, but it really, like you can tell, it not only takes longer to vacuum, but it just doesn't do as good of a job. It's not going to pick up the particles nearly the same way your upright vacuum or your full-size plug-in vacuum is going to. Another thing is sometimes the attachments themselves are a little finicky when you're putting them on or taking them off. I find this is more common with the extension tube and the two powered brush heads, probably because of the electronic plugs. But you really need to make sure you line up these little divots when you're plugging them into the tube, or they don't line up. You got to get it right on until it clicks. And then when you do, it's like not really, like it's a little loose. I mean, it's fine, it's not going to come off, but it's just not like a really super secure connection. It just feels a little bit loose, I guess. I don't know. For a $400 vacuum, you'd think everything would feel pretty darn precise. So this tool, pretty much worthless. You could use it as a brush, but I'm not sure why you would ever use this thing in the middle. I don't know what that's any good for. So overall, I'll be honest with you, this is probably the best hand vacuum I've ever used, but at $300+, I just think there's too many shortcomings. I just can't justify the cost. Having the messy dirt cup emptying mechanism and having the button I have to hold and having a number of attachments I'm constantly having to switch out, and having a floor tool that really doesn't pick up big particles well, it's just too many things to justify a cost that high. So what I would recommend to anybody that's looking for a cordless vacuum is to consider, what are you primarily going to be using it for? Are you primarily using it as a quick vacuum for your carpets in between when you want to get your other vacuum out? Are you primarily using it for small particles like flour and dust and that type of thing on your hardwood? If so, this might be a great choice if you can justify, you know, $300+ for those type of activities. Or are you looking for something, you know, to clean your car out and pick up particles like cat food or cat litter or cereal or something like that? Because if so, you could spend, you know, between $50 and $150 and get a very nice lithium-ion powered handheld vac, like a Black & Decker or a Hoover Lynx Pet, for example. And you could do those tasks, I would say, probably just as well as this. Now this does do sort of a combination of everything due to its array of attachments, but again, I would consider what tasks you plan on doing and save a lot of money to buy a cheaper vacuum to do specifically those tasks. I just can't recommend this vacuum at $300+. If it was $200, it would be a maybe. If it was a $150, I would say definitely, but I'm gonna be returning my Dyson to Costco and looking at other options. So if you have any questions, guys, please leave comments below. I'll try and answer all questions or comments. Hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ultraconsumer, and thanks again for watching. Hey guys, Luke at ultraconsumer.com here, bringing you another product review. This time, one that I'm a little bit excited about. This is the Dyson DC44 battery-powered handheld stick vac. You can see here. You guys may have seen these at your local Costco. They're pretty popular right now. And I actually picked this one up on sale at Costco for around $300. $300 for a stick vac. That's right, folks. That was the sale price. This is usually close to $400. So for that price, you'd hope it was a pretty darn good stick vac. That said, before we get into it, let's take a look at the accessories and the attachments that come with it so you have a better idea of what you're purchasing when you purchase this particular vacuum at Costco. Okay, so here's everything that comes with the Costco model. You've got the base unit itself right here, you've got the charging station right here, and you've got the extension tube, which is this blue piece that I have installed right here. And aside from those three base components, you also have a total of 6 different attachments. And I think a couple of those are bonuses with the version that you get at Costco, specifically the two over here, the extension tube as well as the angled tool here. And I'll go over each one of those. Let's start with the bonus piece.